right, we will be interviewing Jodo. Before we went off, right after we went off stream, we were talking about it, and we said we will interview Jodo, but we really wanted to try and get K-Man, and for pretty much for the sole reason that we watched a bunch of his games over the tournament, and the only Jodo game we watched was the last one. So we wanted to get him in, and if we could, we wanted to get both Jodo and K-Man. Now, K-Man isn't on our Skype. It wasn't, it basically took more time for us to try and contact him than it would Jodo. Jodo, we can basically go next door and knock on his door and say, "Hey, can you come over for a second?" Paul Cole, not so much. We will be interviewing.
He is not online, unfortunately. So what I'm guessing happened is that he was just so tired of everything, he just threw his computer and just walked away and didn't want to see Spellweaver for a while.
Yeah, I can imagine his
which is a shame, because I mean, it's again because we saw so many more of his games, because we saw him go through all the crazy plays, all the really bad luck, some of the really good luck. I felt like that was the adventure to follow. That's why I just wanted to see, hey, what happened, like,
but
and
yeah,
maybe just how he felt. Whereas with Jodo, again, we only saw the one game.
But yeah, there is.
But winner is a winner.
K-Man probably, I feel like he needs a nap.
Yeah.
So we'll let him go ahead and do that. So we're gonna get Jodo here, assuming Jodo wants to talk to us.
I mean, you can go ahead and try to add him. I don't want to again go back from your face. Your face soothes me.
Oh, if that's what that's the story, if that's what you're going with.
Hang on, I'm being told he is online. Hang on a second. I don't see him though. He's not on Spellweaver. And
according to, well, he's on Spellweaver, but according to it, he's still playing in a tournament. So,
I don't see him on the list. Oh, maybe I just don't have him added. You know what? Maybe I'll try again.
Here, why don't you grab?
No, he's not responding to my request.
Well, you grab Jodo then. I'm gonna talk to Paw Man.
If you can.
Well, we'll see.
Maybe we can realize the dream and do both, right? Although I think preferably one after another. I think having two people, it gets a bit muddy. So
we'll see.
We're gonna try to.
You go ahead and grab Jodo since you're
how is he?
Stream Master.
Well, I mean, you can just add him to the call. But whatever, it doesn't matter.
Do I have Jodo on my Skype thing? I want to say that I do, but I'm not. Oh, yep, there he is.
I had to whiten up his face. Uh-oh. No, now my camera's all messed up.
Well, that's why I said for you to do it, because you were the...
Nah, it would have been messed up anyways. Because
hello?
Hang on, hold on a second. I have to put Boltor's face back into existence.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
I'm always the one getting pushed to the side.
Well, because unfortunately life and stuff.
Yeah. Well, that was...
Wait, hang on. Almost got it. Disregard, guys. This is all totally planned and official. There we go. Okay, I can see. I'm not gonna bother adding Jodo's face because I don't know where I would put it. Honestly,
well,
it'd be floating to the side.
If you really want to see my face, I'm on 2 streams at once now. So have fun with that.
There you go. There you go, guys. If you want to see Jodo's face, just go to his channel.
So
easy game.
That was a game too.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
What was
that
really...
made me so angry. Like when I actually won the 3rd game. Like most of the time, you're really happy when you win a best of 3, especially when it's for like $400. And like the first thing I said after winning the game was, "Fucking finally!" I was so angry. Like it completely overpowered any happiness I had until about a minute ago. Like I was so mad because he threw the game so hard. Like, oh, game 2 made me irritate beyond belief. I did not win that best. I will lost it.
No, I mean he technically. I mean he could have delivered a lethal attack, but the way the clock worked was really weird. Where he
suddenly... It wasn't even that. He won the game on turn 6. He just refused to move stuff onto front row. He did the same in game 3.
I think
He
in
just
game 3 he may have
refused
just
to move
started
stuff.
been a little bit on the tilted side.
Probably, but like, I mean, what was really annoying about game 2 was on turn 6, I was like, oh, the game's over. Because I had like 2 flesh sculptors, but he had an Antriel and like a 3/3 and like a Namir or something, and also shutting down every spell in my deck. So I'm like, well, I'm dead. But
Yeah, it
then
looked like he was just building
15
towards that.
turns later, he sacrificed one Antriel, he attacked with another, so he lost with it. And then 15 turns later, I'm like, oh, triple ancient tree, and he has no board. How did this happen? And then later on, I'm like, oh, I'm still dead. And then I'm like, oh wait, he's playing slowly. He might block himself out, and he did. I'm like, what game was that?
Oh man.
It was the most intense game I think we've seen so far.
Yeah, that was one for the history books. That was a game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and especially because if he had 10 more seconds, he could have delivered the lethal attack with the 3 guys he had. But when he had 6 seconds at the end of your turn, his clock went to 0. And he just instantly lost as soon as you ended the turn.
I don't think it did, because on my screen it ended 3 seconds into his. I think it's just the clock is a bit desynced depending on which side you're on. But it does, like, before, it used to go into negative numbers on some people's screens, whereas now it kind of just corrects itself every 5 seconds from what I can tell. So, yeah, it did work out properly, but, like, I did not expect to win from clock.
I don't think anybody expected that.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about.
He
I
started
really wasn't
playing
thinking
faster and faster too. Like, oh my god, I have like 50 seconds on the clock.
Well,
I
he went to
didn't.
time a few times. Like, he went to the turn timer like 4 or 5 different times, I think.
There was a lot of thinking that game.
I
You're supposed
wasn't
to be in
thinking
the chat,
about.
by the way.
What?
I wasn't thinking about there being a clock win until like the 2-minute warning.
Yeah, I kind of joked about it when I was at 15 minutes and he was at 8. And then 10 minutes later, he actually timed out.
Okay, so
I always
yeah.
kind of joke about it when people are playing a bit slower than me, because I tend to play quite quickly.
yeah,
But
the chat
it
is
actually happened.
confirming, like you say, that apparently even when your stuff is attacking and stuff, you are still paying the time, even though the clock is technically stopped. Because it looks stopped when that stuff is happening, but I guess it's not.
It's not, and it kind of makes sense in the way that they've designed the clock, because it means that they don't want games to run longer than a certain time. So, like, if all the animations stopped the clock, games would run for like 10 extra minutes on average.
Yeah, I guess
something.
that makes sense. But it felt like
So,
the time was low. Like, didn't somebody petition to make the tournament timers longer?
Yeah. I mean, like, I kind of think they should be, because some of these plays are longer. I mean, like, I'll be known as the guy that won Masters because of the clock. But, like,
Yeah,
I do think the
basically.
timer should be longer. I think, okay, actually, I'm not sure about the total timer. I think the turn timer should be longer, especially at the end of your opponent's turn. Because, like, you can actually, like, you can only activate Vulture, like, 9 times before you time out. You just can't activate it anymore, because you literally run out of time. So it has come up. But, yeah, the timer is a bit of a strange thing, because it's based on how they do it in ranked, which I think is fine. But for tournament play, especially for Masters, it's different. But
Anyways, enough about clocks.
yeah.
Let's talk decks. You know what I didn't see a lot of? Vamplamp. I wonder
well, we were
why.
banning it all anyway.
Yeah.
No, not even that. It just in lineups, it was almost all like implants, bears, and angels seem to be the most common decks. And I guess some of the rage. Very little that we see of Vamplamp.
I can kind of explain that just from what we did. Basically, the problem is that control is way too easy to trap. Like, you can build a lineup of 3 decks that just murder Wisdom Dominion. Like, you just can. We did it all of last season, and now with more cards in the game, stuff like zombies is even better now against control. So you just completely annihilate control. But, so you can't run Wisdom Dominion. That, and more people want to run Implants, because Implants, like, if you can ban Wisdom Dominion, Implants has, like, no bad matchups.
Turns out Overcharger is good.
Yeah,
although
although
I
it's
see
the Wisdom-
Soul Flames got included as well in some of these.
Yeah, we were playing too. I mean, it was Uska's list, so I can't make too much of a comment about it since he built it. But like the one we were building was designed both types of rage, I think. Or like it was definitely way better against Crazy Rage than it was against Burning Rage. That's for sure. But like golems are good against the heavy aggro because you just get extra bodies in play. Soul Flames was nice against Angels, so it wasn't too bad. Like Soul Flames is a concession to bigger decks because you can't really run Helm if you're playing Wisdom. So yeah, you kind of need some other form of hard removal, even if it hurts. But yeah, we actually we tested an insane amount. We have over 200 games on a spreadsheet. Well over 200. And like that's just the stuff we wrote down. Like I think I missed like 50 or 60. So we tested a lot, and it did pay off. Like 3 of us were all playing the same lineup, which was me, Krur, and Uska. We all went 3-1 or better. And
looking at the list.
Cloud, Cloud ended up getting the 1 point, but he didn't run Angels, which I think was a mistake. But I mean, he wasn't comfortable playing it, and he's a bit more of a newer person in the competitive scene, so he's not quite comfortable with all the different archetypes yet. So it kind of makes sense. Like, it's always really annoying to play a deck that you're not used to. Mostly because you're winning like tanks, because you just don't play it correctly. Like, I was playing Angels a lot today to practice, because Angels was the one deck I was just not good with. So I played like 13 or something games against Krur earlier.
Angels seem to have been revamped a little bit. Like, we're seeing some new cards there. Like, especially Soul Projection is the most interesting one.
Soul Projection won me a game.
I mean, you put it on like a big creature and you can just wipe a board. That's something Angels couldn't do before.
The one that's really unfair with Soul Projection is Valasworn Incarnate.
Yeah, 1 mana 5/5. Speaking of unfair Valor Sworns, there were like 7/7s on your board over there. What was that all about?
You draw 4 Valasworns. I think it's at one point I was like, do I need mana? Like, why not just have 7 levels and 3 mana? Like, it's a 1-drop. Yeah, Valasworn is not a fair card in mono order. It's the reason why, like, they added Seluxio and such, and you try Wisdom, and then you realize you don't have Valasworn anymore, and then you go back to mono order.
Yeah, I never
about
thought Seluxia was like that good of an inclusion to not run like all the lovely mono order things.
Yeah, exactly.
Too delicious. So, anyways,
But
oh yeah. So what? Oh, yeah, I'm trying to remember what your lineup was. Angels.
it was Hate Bears, completely new version of Hate Bears, Angels, and Wisdom Dominion Implants.
Right.
We actually had a bit of an interesting thing in testing where we decided on Ban Dominion because basically we didn't want to face control, but then we discovered Implants beats most things. We were like, oh wait, they use exactly the same colors. So we're like, okay, Ban Dominion. Ban Dominion, play Dominion. That was the first one. So we ran Wisdom Implants because it was really good. Mono Dominion Implants was terrible in testing. Like, it was bad. It didn't work. Like, I don't think we found a single positive matchup for it. Which is
I mean,
impressive.
the only difference really is Library Guards and maybe Protector.
Protector was the big one.
I mean,
Protector helped a lot
protecting
against
deadly
Rage.
guys is pretty good.
Protector is only bad against Dominion and Corruption, and you can ban Dominion. And Protector is like borderline broken against Nature and Order. Like, it just completely destroys all combat. So yeah, Protector is a big deal. But then after that, we were testing Care Bears, and it was pretty good. And then Krur, who was playing Angels Lost Masters and did quite well with it, said, well, let's do some Angels. So we spent like 6 hours testing Angels, and it was also really, really good. Like, they both had really, really good matchups. And so we hit a bit of a snag, which was finding the third deck. And the option was, like, if we play Care Bears, we only have Rage and Corruption. So it was like, you play Rage or Zombies, basically, and we weren't happy with either of those. And so we had a bit of a problem. So Krur ended up trying to build a Rage Bears deck with Angels as the third deck. And he just asked me, like, can you build a Hate Bears deck? And I'm like, without Landslide, really? But I just ended up making it into Care Bears with Corruption instead. And it worked! It actually worked. I built that deck in 15 minutes. But it actually worked. Apparently I've got decent judgment with Hate Bears, which I guess makes sense, because I did play it for like 2 months straight. But yeah, it means I've played Hate Bears in 3 of 4 Masters now, I think. Even when they nerfed the deck into Oblivion, I found a way.
Well, apparently it's not nerfed into Oblivion when it's still competitive.
Yeah.
Swap out a few cards. I mean, the core of the deck remains the same. A lot of 2-cost creatures.
I mean, the core's been changed a lot, though. The mechanics are the same, but, like, you don't start... basically, the old version was, like, mid-range, so you started Corruption. Whereas this one, it starts with all nature stuff. So, Call of Yalaya, Summoner Druid, and then, like, all the 2-drops. And that's a really good core.
I guess Silverfang helps.
It does, yeah. I mean, it's the same reason Care Bears works. You can't really run the other version. I tried really hard. It doesn't work. Like, without Landslide, the deck is completely unplayable. Like, it just beats nothing. Like, it just doesn't work. Because it relied on Reverence a lot, and it relied on Landslide an insane amount. So, yeah. So we had to retool it. But it ended up working. I mean, all 3 of us ended up getting 3 wins at least. And, yeah. So, it was pretty good. And I think in the case of Uska, the only loss he had was to Krur. So, yeah.
Oh, yes. The Acebreaker battle. I believe we watched that. And it was interesting.
Yes, I believe we did.
It was like round 2 or something.
Yeah, that was round 2. Round 2 is when we all played each other.
Yeah, you played Cloud. I remember that.
Yeah.
Because I had picked
All
you
played
or Cloud to win the tournament.
Oh, so you ended up specking that game? Or just checking
No,
afterwards?
we checked afterwards. We stuck to our rule of not streaming other streamers,
Our
unless it was
stay away from you guys because
unless it was the championship match.
Alish managed to get 2 points, which is good for a wild card. But we could tell from the way he played that he was just not comfortable with everything. The way he played with the Vamp Lamp deck that he ran, he just seemed to... He wasn't as meta-aware as the rest of you guys are, so to speak. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, there were a lot less testing groups. Like, normally, I mean, the thing I noticed going into ladder this time was, one, I didn't have that much time on the actual day of ladder closing because I was away from home to see my family. So I had to basically stay up after everyone else had gone to sleep to try and grind into ladder, and it was super stressful. But I noticed, like, Peace or Laurential didn't qualify, and a whole bunch of other people that normally qual do. Like, most of the people that were in, like, testing groups, so basically teams, a lot of them didn't qualify this time, which was surprising. I think it really was. Although the ladder did play completely differently this time. Completely differently. Like, it was... A lot of the matchups right now are pretty coin flippy. And it's very difficult to pick the right deck for ladder because it usually just auto loses to something. So I ended up playing Burning Rage because it's kind of okay versus everything. And just grinding an insane amount of games. But, I mean, it was tilting. It was really tilting because, like, I don't know, it's really rough playing against, like, a whole bunch of aggro decks, and then you switch to a mid-range deck, and then it's like kata, kata, kata. It's really rough. So yeah, the end of season was hard. Like, it was way harder than the last 3. Or, not last 3, the last 2. Like, this was almost as difficult as the first Masters ladder season. Which was really brutal. So yeah, it was much harder to qualify this time, and I think it took a lot of people by surprise.
Took us by surprise when we saw these new names, like this one fellow, Type 100, who I've never even seen before.
I've seen him once before, but I don't think he's been at Masters before, has he?
I don't think...
Not that I can remember, no.
Absolutely not. I haven't even seen the name before.
I've seen him a few times. How many new names did we have this time, actually?
Oh, quite a few.
Powell has Powell been
Silver.
before? Yeah, and Silver.
Yeah, Powell's a pro player. Yeah, we had Silver, Type 100.
I'm a Hoppy.
I'm a Hoppy, yeah.
And Cloud was in the previous one.
Yeah. So we've got a lot of people that are, like, actually qualifying for these that are pretty good players. I mean, the one thing that I think you really need to do is have a testing group. Like, you really do. It's especially for this with all the new cards. Like the amount of advantage you get just from testing together is ridiculous. I mean, in our case, we kind of go a bit insane with testing, but I mean, it pays off. Like the ever since we've started doing this ridiculous testing thing, like we've on average done really, really well. And that's the last three masters. So I'm pretty happy with how the team situation's been going, even though like it's I guess it's a bit more recent now because we had a team before and then everyone kind of left to play other games. But now there's actually a proper team again, so it really does help out. And I think that if you want to do well in Masters, like you can qualify on your own, but if you want to do really well in Masters consistently, you have to practice with other people that are also in Masters. Like you just have to, because you just are at such a disadvantage if you don't have the ability to test individual matchups over and over and over again.
Stats on your side. Unfortunately, we did not see demons. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, I went the entire tournament with it. Even checking deck lists, I didn't even see a single Dr. Styx.
We were running it, and then we cut it from Hate Bears. It was mostly because the life loss really hurt against aggro, and the stuff it was really good against was like Namir. We didn't expect too much Spell Warden because you can ban Dominion. There was only one. Paolo was playing Spell Warden, but the rest of the Angels players didn't seem to be. But we were playing Moonlight Patrol instead because that was just as good against the green decks, which is what Styx is good against as well.
Well, the most important thing about this tournament, the thing that we were worried would be the defining factor of the next Masters tournament, was there was not a single cloning vats to be found.
Is that really a
Yeah.
surprise?
I mean,
nerf
after it
kind
got
of hit him hard.
nerfed, yes. But I remember when we were sitting there, you, me, Fuzz, and Peace, we were all like, "Oh man, this freaking cloning vats, man, god damn." But
I mean, it would have just been cloning Vats and Styx if they hadn't nerfed them, but
yeah. But thank God we got the nerf, or they got nerfs. I think there was the one thing Twitch chat wanted was a Zyara deck, but didn't see. Someone said that they were running one. I think it was Savix.
yeah.
And one, but
I mean, the Bezarok nerf made that deck really awkward because it's actually really hard to win the game now with that deck. Like, before you just Bezarok and then reanimate it like twice and you win. But now you have to do that like 8 times. So it's a bit harder and it just doesn't seem to be worth it. The deck is also a bit soft to just like random aggro decks, and you can't race like Word of Grace with it at all. Like you don't have any disruption. For Word of Grace, you don't have like Mind Extortion. That and it uses Wisdom, and most people want to use Wisdom paired with Dominion because those two fit perfectly.
Question from chat: why no Minotaur in implants?
We did test it. It turns out Minotaur has a weakness. It's terrible on defense, so you can't play it in the current meta. That's basically why. Like, if we were building a Wisdom Dominion trap, then we would have played Minotaur, because Minotaur's insane against control. But against Rage, it's a liability. It actually does more damage to you than to them. And against zombies, it's okay, but then it's a 3-speed attacker. That's nice, but it can also be attacked by deadly zombies.
True.
Which is also really awkward. And the other matchup it was really nice in was Angels. But against Angels, it could still be a slight problem. Mostly because once they had a couple things on back row, it was really hard to actually interact with them. So we did try it, but it just wasn't good on defense at all. And Implants is not as quick as the other aggro decks, so you kind of have to start on defense and then swing it later. So we just couldn't play the Minotaur.
Also, no, what's that card called? Vampiric Ashes. This is just not aggressive enough.
It's just not aggro. Like, I mean, especially with Wisdom, like you can run Vampiric Ashes, or you can run like Protectors and Golems and things that are also good on aggro. So yeah, that was basically how that went. Although Vampiric isn't a bad card by any means, actually. But like you play it on turn 2, and then you want to go Raven the next turn, but you can't. Because it's going to be a 1-1 because the Ashes can't attack. So yeah, it's more of like an awkward thing. Like you don't want to make two color decks more awkward than they are, because you can just randomly lose to color screw sometimes.
Fair enough.
So yeah, it's a consistency thing.
Is there anything else we didn't see? I guess didn't see Prinha because there was just not that much control. And Prinha, I guess, is too slow for like an aggressive deck like that.
Well, according to the list, Uska played 3 Prinha in their deck,
Which one?
their Coronis
Oh.
deck.
Really?
He must have changed it. I mean, I'm curious what he actually took out for that.
I'm not seeing golems,
There you go.
and I'm also seeing
that's fair.
actually in Uska's list, I'm not seeing. He went straight Dominion. I'm not seeing any Wisdom cards in it at all.
Okay, he must have been playing the. I mean, like, I think the Wisdom version is just better, but he probably was playing the deck that he got into top 10 with.
Did he have Minotaurs in there?
Because
Yes.
Also, he
yeah,
has
that's the
Minotaur.
deck he got top 10 with. That's the yeah, he got to top 10 with that deck, so he's probably was just playing it out of comfort, to be honest, which is fair. I mean, he had a good win rate with it. The if I could do it in hindsight, by the way, given how many people were playing Angels outside of us, I would have probably played Printha instead of Golems, just because they deal with Angels.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
But
Although Soul
we were
Projection is
expecting
somewhat of a
range.
counter. A little bit.
It is, but then they sacrifice an Angel, and for a Soul Projection that may not actually be that good.
I mean, it's
So-
like okay, I guess, for them. It does mean that Print is
Yeah.
not as devastating as it could be.
That's true.
Versus just free
But,
killing an
yeah.
Antriel and getting a 3-4 on the board. That would be pretty nice, but
That
if it's just a trade...
3-4-4 speed is like impossible to deal with for Angels. They need like a go more at 4 levels, and they have to go for double speed boost on it. And even then, like you put an implant on it, and then they concede.
Speaking
So
of Gomer, what was taken out for him?
what an Angels?
Yeah, because you guys had like 2 Gomers or 3 Gomers or something. I guess Spellwarden? Was it Spellwarden?
We weren't playing any Spell Warden
That may be what
because we were banning Dominion.
it was. Fair. And I
think we
guess
took
with,
out
with
Spell-
Landslide gone, you don't have to ban that anymore.
Yeah, we took out Spell Wardens for Gomor and Soul Projection.
But
Um,
how many
yeah.
projections did you guys run? It seemed like they were being
2.
drawn consistently. 2.
I mean, with 2, the idea is you only need 1 in a game. Like, I played Angels a few times today, and I didn't need Soul Projection in some of the games, and you only need 1 anyway. Like, I played against Care Bears with the deck, and I was losing really, really badly. And I was just saying, it's like, well, if he has Tornado, I'm dead. And he had, like, Tornado CFC, and I'm like, well, I'm dead. But then I realized he set up his board with 7 damage on it. And I top-decked Valisworn and went Valisworn Soul Projection for 3 mana and wiped his board. And that's how I won that game. Like, Soul Projection's insane, but you don't really want multiple, because the first one is usually enough. Because, like, you Soul Projection their board, and then next turn you've got Angels and such, which stop the board from getting large again. So it's not too bad. Whereas 2 Soul Projections, there's literally nothing. Like, you never want to draw 2, because, I mean, outside of really specific situations, like my game against Powell, which shouldn't have got to that stage anyway.
That game will be immortalized.
Oh god, in my mind, yeah. But it was the most stressful game I played in a while. But yeah, outside of really strange situations like that, Soul Projection is usually like a one and done thing, especially considering you got Valisworn and even really big things like with Namir pumps. Like you can just do insane Soul Projections.
Also,
So there's no
Relic
real.
Guards. But did you guys... I saw somebody run Relic Guards.
That was me, and I think Kerr was playing card for card the same list.
Not
it was
4
his list.
copies, right?
so- Nah, 3. They're
We
not
had-
good in every matchup, but
Yeah, we had there was a matchup between Uska and Krier, and they literally had 1 card difference, I believe. One of them was playing.
Yeah, it was 1 less Gomor versus 1 more Relic Guard.
Hmm.
I guess it's
Yeah,
to
that
help
was
with the
the-
aggressive matchups, because it seems like a lot of the time the Angel player is just getting beaten down, but then like slowly manages to pull himself out with just enough Guardians, with just enough life gain.
Angel's the deck that is really hard to kill. Like, outside of control, it's actually really like with a creature deck, it's really hard to kill angels. It's the reason you don't run Pacify. Like Pacify is just overkill. Like if you're running Pacify and angels, most of the time it just sits in your hand because you also happen to have a Namir and a Guardian in play, so your opponent can't attack anyway. So
I mean, you use Soul Projection for removal anyways. And I see you had like one Ray or something, right?
Yeah, it's a career deck, so it has random one-offs.
Actually, it did become irrelevant that it was only one because Powell hit it with a Spell Warden.
Yeah,
and then
that's true. Actually,
deliberately kept the Spell Warden over what was like the Angel Blessed Knight, right? Because he probably saw the one Ray, figured, well, Johto must have the other one in hand. I don't want him to kill my Guardian. Makes sense, right?
I mean, like, it's a bit awkward because this is one of the reasons Kerr actually plays one of random spells. Like, when I talked to him before, and he's like, I like one-ofs, and I'm like, okay. And at one point, he was just like, well, they do screw up Spell Warden occasionally. I'm like, that's never going to come up. No one's playing Spell Warden right now. But it actually happened. Like, he took Ray over, like, Word of Grace could have been really dangerous if I had two in hand. Or, like, a Soul Projection would have killed him, I think. So, yeah, that one Ray was a big deal, I guess. But yeah, the bluffs are strong sometimes. I guess that's the best way of putting it.
Definitely.
But yeah, I never actually played the Ray, I don't think.
I mean, with only one.
Yeah, everyone else played the Ray, but I didn't for the entire like tournament.
I guess Ray would only mostly really help you against big angels.
It's mostly just for like angel mirrors, pretty much, and it also just randomly helps against like Ancient Treant.
Yeah.
Occasionally.
Or things that have been overcharged, like giant ravens.
Or my personal favorite, dragons. Just random dragons. Like
dragons
random
could
dragons.
be a problem.
Yeah. Occasionally it's just like there's someone playing dragon, so you have to keep the Ray for that dragon.
Yeah. Otherwise, you will not win.
I'm a lot more happy with how this Masters went compared to the last one, where the last one was like, we did so much preparation for it, and we were trying to find some new way of attacking the format, and we failed spectacularly. Like, we all just played the same decks that we were before. Like, we played like 250 games of testing and found nothing useful. Whereas this time, there was actually stuff to explore, which was always appreciated.
Good to have a lot of new cards.
So yeah, I think people have been overstating Rage's dominance a little bit. I'll put it that way.
Well, it's probably because they just have the most miserable experience against it. Like, you play against it, oh, he just had 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop, and I lose in like 5 turns. Yay.
Yep, played against Crazy Rage once today, and yeah, he did in fact go 1 drop, 2 drop, Blood Frenzy, 3 drop, 4. Like, okay. It just happens. Like, Crazy Rage just randomly wins games, but it doesn't do that often. And it just, like on ladder, it was really rough because by the end of the season, it felt like every single game you played was a 60-40 matchup in their favor. So you just could not climb with the deck. So yeah, the ladder kind of adapted. And, I mean, we kind of built our lineup to beat just aggro decks in general. Or more accurately, creature decks. And one of them was Rage. I played against Rage twice, and it got a win in both series, so that failed, but but yeah, in general, most people are playing creature-based decks, because the only control deck you can really play is Wisdom Dominion, and you have a ban, so that helps.
Yep. Also, Zombies making a good showing. I guess Hartford made an impact, along with the Abhorrent Ghoul.
Yeah, Zombies was pretty good. Like, we almost ran it. It was definitely in the running for... Well, running zombies, I guess. Yeah, unintended pun there. But we didn't decide on it because it didn't seem to attack the format very well. Like, when Krur played against Powell, he's like, I lost against zombies even though I had like the matchup favored. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. Then I played against him and I lost against zombies even though I had the favorable matchup. Like, come on. But I mean, zombies is a deck which, if you miss divines, you just randomly lose. But if you draw like 3 pieces of removal, along with say a 1 drop and a 2 drop, you can just deal like 15 damage with those 1 and 2 drops. So it definitely has its moments. Like, it's not a bad deck. I think it's a decent choice. We didn't decide on it because of some consistency issues, but it wasn't like we didn't write it off. It was in the last like 4 decks we were thinking about playing. I think it was a lot more of a personal preference thing, to be honest. The deck's pretty good, and I think some people had really good lists. Like, I wasn't surprised Powell played it because he did really well with zombies before. So yeah, if you have a history with the deck and you're good at playing, I think you probably should because it's good enough.
Okay.
Sounds good to me. What you got on your mind, Boltor?
No, I'm just thinking. Not really any other changes worth talking about. Card-wise, anyway.
I mean, yeah, as far as the deck diversity, there wasn't that much difference. We still had... I mean, yeah, you had Control that just got banned. You had Angels, or, you know, Mono Order, I guess, is a better way to call it. And then, you know, you have Hate Bears, which we've seen before, and Aggro, which we've seen before. So not any really sweeping changes to the tournament. Like, nobody played like some brand new crazy deck. I guess you guys just ultimately figured there just wasn't anything good.
Who was it that we caught like the very, very tail end of the match who was playing the Elric deck?
Oh yeah, it was like a Elric. It looked like a casual Darius with Elric or something like that.
I forget who it was who was playing the Elric. I mean, I'm going through all the lists and writing down who played what and how many of this deck were there, like I do with every tournament. It's just a matter of curious if I could remember. But yeah, I didn't post last one because my work just got away from me. My actual paying career job got away from me. But every time I go through, I write down, okay, we had 8 Burning Rage decks, because I started doing that immediately after, I think it was number 2 or number 1, where it was like, well, every single person is playing Burning Rage. And I was like, okay, let me double check that. And yeah, out of 16 people, we had 12
that was number
Burning
2.
Rage decks.
Yeah,
so that was kind of like everyone was talking about that. So I was like, let me actually run the numbers. And then I just kind of started doing it. So
yeah, that was number 2. That's when everyone was playing Burning Rage, and that was when me and Uska were just playing a completely different style. That was the like beat control style, which ended up being popular, and the one after that. Yeah, most people were playing Burning Rage before then.
But yeah, so this one I'm going to go through. I like to take like the top, just from Magic experience. I like to do top 4 cut or top 8, even though it doesn't make a whole lot of difference here in this actual
You
tournament
could do by
format.
points.
Yeah, I do end up doing that, but at some before then I usually kind of go just top, like the top cut. But
sounds better.
And it says like, yeah, the top cut is like the top 4 players. The deck spread looked like this, the hero spread looked like this, and then the rest of everything else. So we'll know exactly how many people or how many showings of each deck there were. Although this one's going to be a lot easier. Some of especially last time, it was like, well, this looks almost exactly like zombies, but it's just different enough to where it's not really a zombie deck. So what do I call this? And and of course, everyone who writes in their names, they either write up something funny that doesn't really explain it, or it's just unnamed, which doesn't help either.
Yeah, Fuzzy wasn't there.
Yeah, so
I did that before. Like in my last Masters, I called my control deck Cancer.
Yeah, it was like, but I was just like, there's some people who are just like, oh, I'm just gonna play this random thing, and then I'm like, I gotta kind of look at the list and just be like, that's I'm calling that mid range. Screw it. It's like they've just some of the people, at least last month it was really bad, but it was just like they were playing Enoch zombie demons. It was like and they saw like 3 of these decks, and I'm just like, what the hell do I call this?
Yeah,
it's I want to call it demons, but it's not playing Dark Portal. I was just like, okay,
Is anyone playing demons?
Not that I saw, but I haven't been through every list.
Because we have a demons column on our spreadsheet with absolutely nothing in them. Like, there's just a straight crisscross line, like a row and a column of demons with nothing there. Because we were like playing zombies and we thought, this just feels like playing demons but better.
Yeah, so we seem to be kind of figured out. Either it's Burning Rage or it's the crazy aggro rage. Um, that was another thing. There was like a great kind of like Burning Rage wasn't really all that prevalent last month. It was more just like the basic Zash aggro kind of thing. But then there was like one or two kind of like hybrid lists
Yeah,
that
I think
kind of like.
Tech was playing one. I think Peacekeeper was playing a hybrid list as well.
And then I was like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna call that Rage. I basically ended up going by the heroes. If they were playing Advanced Zash, then I was like, okay, that's a Burning Rage deck. But if they were playing Basic, I was like, yeah, that's an aggro deck. I'm calling that aggro. And then
Yeah,
there was
that's
like,
true.
then there were like two Burke decks, and I was like, all right.
It tends to be
Yeah,
aggro as well.
People were
Yeah,
just like,
Burke
oh,
can
let's
be
see how
both,
much I
though.
could fuck with Boltar today. Let's try this out. It's like, oh,
I mean,
great.
Burke was like Cruel Tech's specialty for a while, wasn't it?
I
Like he was the
believe so,
guy that
yeah.
ran Burke.
We had-
I mean, nowadays he's a Wisdom Dominion specialist almost, but yeah, for a while he was the guy that ran Burke and did really well with it.
Well, I can't say anything official, but I believe I heard the developers mention something about trying to come up with or thinking, experimenting, I think was their word, with different formats for different tournaments instead of just the Conquest.
I hope so.
But like I said at the beginning of the stream, Conquest is kind of the tried and true default thing. Like I use the example back in, Magic days, you'd play best of 3 Swiss, and then a cut to top, however many, depending on how many people you had. It's like, yeah, that got boring, but it's kind of just the format, But
It's a bit difficult to say. Like, I'm not personally fond of Conquest. I won't bore everyone with the details, but like, I would like to see at least trying some other ones, because it may turn out the Conquest is just the best one, and it may just be difficult to find some really, really good ones that are like really interesting to watch. But I would at least like to try some other ones just to see if we can find like a better alternative that people like. Because I don't think there's any harm in running just like a few tournaments every week that are in different formats.
yeah, there's there's another. Who's that? There's like an independent tournament that the Spellweaver, the developers are backing, but they're
GSL.
not. Yeah, is that going to be another Conquest one? I can't seem to find any more information on it since.
GSL has the strangest ruling setup I've ever seen.
Okay,
Like,
so
it's unreasonably vague.
okay, so it'll be different. So at least there's that. At least that's what my developers might be going for. Other companies or other groups running tournaments that are of different formats, so that they can kind of let those guys do the experimenting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just good business sense in all honesty. But so those might be worth checking out. I know Fuzz and I won't be casting them because they're not official Spellweaver tournaments, but I still might hop on my stream and sit here and talk at my computer for hours on end like I usually do. So who knows? Maybe I'll even play in them if life permits.
Bolter
Sure.
playing in a tournament? What is this?
Yeah.
Well, I've been wanting to get into some more tournaments, like playing at Sunday Fun Days and everything. But I started my new job. I work Wednesdays to Sundays. I actually had to get special permission to get the first Sunday of every month off so I could do these streams. And it's 4 p.m. to midnight Eastern time.
That's really awkward.
Yeah, you're telling me. So it's like, yay, I want to play tournaments, but they're all while I'm at work. So
That's like really awkward. That's like
Play them when
that's
you're
the
at work.
dodge all social events schedule.
yeah, and I was like, I took it like, but that was like months ago when I first, and they only had like 3 different shifts, and one of them was a freaking like, I was
that
basically
night
sitting here thinking, well, actually the midnight shift weren't available because they use a whole separate group of people for that. But I was like, all right, I got to try and find one that'll let me work the Masters, and there was an 8 to 4, and I was like, that's just cutting it. And then I was like, all right, let me take the 4 to midnight, because it was basically an 8 to 4 and a 4 to midnight, and I was like, all right, let me do this. And now that I'm in the 4 to midnight, I'm just like, can I work the 8 to 4? I'll work mornings. I don't care. But it's like, yeah, it is awkward because it's like, yay, I'm finally off work, everyone else is asleep and everything's closed. let me just
Yeah.
come home, I guess. It's like, and I work in the nearby city, I live in a village, but I work in the city, and I'm like, and I talk to these people, and they're like, "Oh, you should just go out to clubs or bars," and I'm like, "Yeah, no,
Not
I'm
my
not
thing.
I am not a club slash bar guy, not by any stretch of the imagination. That's why I sit here talking on
that's
my
a bit of an
computer.
awkward time schedule.
But
Like,
so, yeah,
take part in all the Asian stuff.
I guess. But it's
There
just
you go.
I work Office of Mental Health, so Fuzz can attest to this. By the time by the time I get home, I am just brain dead. Like I've exhausted all my mental energy at work, and I come home and it's like the last thing I want to do is try and like push my brain to think about Spellweaver and strategy and stuff.
Oh yeah, before I forget, there was a post about restructuring the prize system for tournaments, which I'm really waiting for.
That'd be interesting.
I think a lot of people are because I think the last time they redid the tournament prize structure was catastrophically bad. Like
Oh,
I think most of them aren't even worth playing in right now, and it's kind of being proven by the fact that even Sunday Fun Days are like barely starting, if they are anymore. So yeah, they're gonna. I'm kind of curious to see how they're gonna do it, but they really need to do something about the prize structure for like the weekly tournaments.
Yeah. I mean, right now the only one that's like worth playing in is the or the qualifiers.
And Friday. Friday's not bad.
Oh yeah.
If you're a very good player, because it's all at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess Conquest isn't too bad, because some people are playing Conquest for practice, and also because you can get card backs, so that's nice. But like, most of the other ones aren't really worth playing in at all.
How do you get
So,
Silver Fang card
yeah.
back? I want to know that.
Yeah, who was it who we ran into who had the Silver Fang card back?
That's Forest Bear, right? Or no, they've got a different one. Yeah, they've
Because-
got a different.
Because when we went to do the partnership, like when they were talking to me about the partnership, it's like, oh, I get to pick a card back, Silver Fang. It's like because I love wolves and white wolves, and they're like, no, that one's unavailable. And I was like, dang.
Aw.
Apparently
I'm
not
getting-
anymore, because one of the players
Yes,
said it.
well, no, it was like they just said it's unavailable, but Fuzz said no legendary creatures, like that was their rule or something. And so I was like, oh, he's
But it
a
was no
legendary.
epics.
Well, I believe there was something about no legendaries. That's what Fuzz told me, and I was like, all right,
Epics
so
or
he's
rares, guys.
technically a legendary creature, so even though he's just
Maybe maybe it was already a card back.
yeah, that's when they said it was unavailable. I thought it was because it fell under their rule, but apparently they just had other plans for it. But I believe, if I remember correctly, it was a long time since I talked to the developers about my partnership deal. But I'll be getting Wind-Seeking Mutant, I believe.
When seeking.
I
There you
believe
go.
that's the card back I'm getting. I believe that's the one we finally decided on. Again, I talked to them. It took me forever because I have a scanner, but like the contract, I couldn't get it scanned. Eventually, I had to use an app on my phone, but my scanner, the one I have here, just constantly broke down, didn't work. So, anyway,
We're getting
I'm
way off
rambling.
topic over here.
yeah, a little bit, but you know what? It's
What
about
do you
it's
expect? Every time the three of us are ever on a Skype call, we get massively off topic. It's
But
just
that's-
how it works.
that's fine. I mean, we've Fuzz and I have been in this call for closing in on 5 hours now, so I believe
Yeah, I've been
that's-
streaming for a long time now. I'm kind of used to it though, but that's because I'm an insane person that's cast for 13 hours straight before.
Well, who was it? Was it it was Criprian from Hearthstone who did like a full 24 hours when Old Gods came out, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I know a few people have done 24 hours. I
I
remember
can't imagine that. Holy hell.
like the longest stream I've ever done was like 17. That was casting an entire tournament, and we were dual casting, but the guy I was with wasn't really used to talking for that long because no human should have to talk for that long. So like 13 hours in, he just stopped talking. So I ended up solo casting like 5 best of 3s.
I know I need
That was the
water.
first
I know I
time,
need
like-
water because my like neck gets sore. Is the best way I can
I've
explain
got
it.
a bottle next to me. Like
Yeah.
a 2 liter.
I started bringing cups of water with me when I started casting, which helped a lot. But yeah, I guess now that we've officially completely talked about stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with Spellweaver. I
Is there
think that's
anything Spellweaver related you've got on the list?
well, like originally what I was saying is I think we've talked about all the changes that are worth talking about. Although I think the prosperous ruling change is just funny.
Still bad.
I just love the idea that you can put a might emblem on an opponent's creature.
No, there's a funnier buff that happened in that patch. Insignia. Nice try.
Oh, insignia of the sun. Yeah, I was like,
they're gonna buff Insignia. It looks at top 2 now. Okay. When we get to top 4, then I'll start having a look at it.
yeah. Although,
But,
favorite
yeah.
change is definitely power discharge.
My favorite change was landslide, but yeah.
Well, I said change, not nerf.
Okay. I guess out of the buffs, like power discharge was nice. I mean, soul projection is the one that actually sees play, but like power discharge is cool. Like it's not too powerful. It feels like pretty nice, but it's not like broken or anything, which is good. It's like I've been starting to call it Word of Blue.
Word of blue.
The new
yeah,
word,
'cause
the word of, was it wisdom? No.
It's Word of Knowledge is the other one.
Yeah.
But I've been calling it Word of Blue because it's basically Word of Fire plus some other wisdom effects.
It's shit, it doesn't do
that's
all
amazing.
3. Shock, freeze, and deal 1 damage to a creature.
I think Shock is what you use the least, which I guess shows how bad the previous card was. But yeah, it's a really, really cool card.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I quite liked the last patch. I think that some of the stuff was like Blood Frenzy, go, 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 which was a bit excessive, but I really liked the last patch because when the set came out, it was so horribly balanced. There was like this week of just misery. Like, it was bad. But after the patch, they fixed most of the problems, which meant that the current setup is a lot more entertaining. Partly because there's more decks you can actually have a look at. Like a lot of people were saying there aren't any new archetypes, but it's kind of true, but kind of not. But you got to remember, it's not like they doubled the number of cards. They added just over 100 into a set that's already like 350 or something. So what they actually did was they
350?
made
More like 180, maybe 200 if you want to count like heroes as cards.
I think so. No, I'm thinking of the wrong numbers. But anyway, but yeah, base set and also the secret cards. I include those in there. Since yeah, those were illegal for masters. But what most of the new set did was enable some underplayed archetypes to actually see play. Like implants was an absolute joke before the secret cards thing. Like absolute joke. It was completely unplayable. And Care Bears is a more recent addition because of that. We also had like Angels getting a bit stronger after it kind of dropped off towards the end. Like Peace ended up playing it, but that was a very, very strange Conquest format where it felt like it didn't really matter what the third deck you played was half the time. But I mean, it just had to be control once, pretty much. But so yeah, Angels got a buff. Both types of Rage got a little bit of a buff, which was actually okay because there's so many more higher HP totals. The only problem I have with the current like balance of the expansion is I don't know why Rage has a 2/3 for 2. Like, why? Why does Rage have a 2/3 for 2? It barely has a drawback. Alrighty, so that causes a lot of swings. But besides that, most of the new set is kind of fine now. I think there's going to be a balance patch probably in like 2 or 3 weeks from now, I imagine, since that's when they like doing them. But I think overall the game is decent right now. There aren't any decks that are really like broken in my opinion. Maybe we just haven't found it yet. But I don't think there are any decks that are like way stronger than anything else, which is good. So yeah, that's kind of what I have to say about the current balance of the game, at least for now.
Alrighty. Well, I think this is a good place to wrap things up.
Yes.
I think
Alright.
we've kept more people in the chat this time around than we usually do. Usually by this point they've dwindled to like 20 people.
I'm gonna stay on my stream for like 20 minutes just answering questions, so
Sure.
Alrighty. Well, you enjoy that. Congratulations, and I look forward to what I assume is going to be our Masters Championship, where it's going to be people who won the Masters in a 16-man tournament. Of course, we gotta wait and see.
Maybe
we gotta have
maybe
16
eight,
different
maybe
winners
8.
first.
Maybe let's do it with
What, like-
8.
yeah.
like 16 a
different
year
winners?
from now.
Yeah, that's Yeah, just
Well,
8.
we'd be a lot closer to a to
I think it
8
could be
if
4.
yeah, we have
Yeah.
yeah, we don't even have 4. We only have 3 now thanks to Peace being a combo breaker.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, 8 might actually take longer than we think because
Well, like 3 months from now, and it's just like we still only have like 4 people that have ever won a Masters because people keep winning twice.
well, see, you can help that by basically just scooping the final round to a new player. I mean,
Never.
he will
Only
die
you-
first.
only you can prevent repeats.
God damn it, Boulder. Anyway, if anyone has any questions to ask me about my lineup or such, head over to my stream since I'll be sticking around. But thanks for coming on again.
Sure thing.
Oh, by the way, I officially challenge you to master Fuzzy Bolt.
I need to look at the rules first.
Fine.
It's
It's
pretty much conquest. Or no,
It's
it's not
not
conquest. That's right. Because
I did
when,
do one update that Laurentio
when
and I
he-
came up with kind of randomly.
when Fuzz first contacted me, he's like, "What do you think about this?" And I was like, "Okay, that sounds like a thing." And that was the extent of our conversation about it. But like,
Yeah, I saw the post about it, but I haven't really read it. I've been really busy.
all I know is that you ban one card from each
All right,
aspect.
here's how it works.
Oh, here he goes.
I'm gonna be brief. You start with picking heroes. Let's say me, the challenger, picks the first hero, and you pick another hero that has to be different from my hero. Then
So you
pick
draw here.
then you pick a second hero. So I get 1 pick, you get 2 picks. Then I get 2 more picks, then you get a pick. So we have 3 heroes
Okay.
each. We cannot
Yeah.
repeat aspects.
Okay.
I mean, individually. If I pick blue, you can pick blue, but I can't pick any more blue.
Okie dokie.
And then we start the card banning. You pick a card,
Okay, so
and then I pick a card from the same aspect. Then I pick a card,
So-
then you pick a card from the same aspect until we have 12 bans.
oh,
And
that's
then
actually really interesting.
and then it's 3 decks versus 3 decks, no banning. And then after each match, both players change decks. If they have any decks left, losing decks are eliminated. Last man standing wins.
Wait, what? So
Okay.
why do both of you have to switch?
This is just to make sure all the decks get played, because you might, let's say, have a situation where you start with a powerful deck and you just crush all 3 decks, and then we never got to see
okay.
the other 2.
So it's more of a like nice to spectate thing, but
Yeah.
it plays out the same way.
alrighty. So, all right. There was I think Team Archon over in Hearthstone. They did a kind of a thing like this. They had a bunch of different formats. Like you can't play creatures with the same attack as health. Like they had all these different rules and everything. But yeah, that sounds familiar. Okay. Well,
I saw Fuzz's head for a second there, which means it's probably time to end.
yeah.
No, it was, I got a call, but it was a wrong number. Oh, it's getting called again. Wow, these people have no brains, I swear to God. Straight to blocklist. I just told them wrong number, and they're calling me a second time. What? Maybe
Funny
this
if-
time it'll work?
No. Now you got to answer the phone this time around. To pick up the phone and go like, "Oh, Tony's Pizza," you know. And if they keep every time they call you back, come up with some different phone number. Like they keep calling the same phone number and getting a different person. That's what I would do. That's where my brain goes.
That's brilliant. Oh god. But anyway, I'm gonna head off. So thanks for having me, guys.
Sure thing.
And, see you around.
Alrighty. So I guess we'll wrap up Spellweaver Masters Championship Final number 4 here. That was a lot of words that all meant the same thing. Masters Championship. Anyway, so I gotta go because I've got stuff I gotta do, unfortunately, and I know Fuzz wants to get up and stretch his legs. Unfortunately, no rainbow chickens. We did not see a chicken deck this game. I'm not sure. I'll definitely check and see if a chicken was played at all in this tournament. I wanted a chicken. I wanted a chicken to win the tournament. I said that days ago, almost a week ago, I think. I said that I wanted the chicken will be the winning card, but unfortunately,
Sadly,
no.
No luck for that.
Nope. It was the winning card was Guardian of the Faithful. Although you could make the argument that the winning card was Valor Sworn Incarnate, but we won't go there.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, swinging for lethal with Guardian of the Faithful. So Guardian of the Faithful. But yeah, Valor Sworn put him in position. But anyway, that's a lot of discussion we could be having. But anyway, congrats to Jodo, and I want to say congrats to K-Man, because holy hell, what a fight. He went full-blown John Cena, not wanting to give up there, I tell ya. But well, they'll all get another shot next month, I believe. Don't quote me on this. I'm just kind of going by what I saw, because the discussion was had between Ivco and Severus. There was a channel that I had access to, but we were streaming at the time, so I only kind of glanced at it. I believe Severus will be the one of our wild cards for the next tournament as a make-up for the situation that kept him out of this tournament. So
that seems pretty fair.
As I understand it, Severus will be the first confirmed member of the 5th Masters Final. But again, don't quote me on that, because things are subject to change, and I'm not a developer, so I can't obviously say one way or the other. It's unfortunate. Maybe Severus could have actually climbed the ladder and won the whole thing, upset Jodo at the end. Who knows? But I guess we'll find out next month. And so that's gonna do it for us. For my buddy Fuzz, I'm Boltor. May the cards rise to meet you and bring good RNG to your enemies' enemies.
Cheers, boys and girls.